They called us whiners for refusing to pay the Gringo tax. Hello and welcome back to our Retire Early Lifestyle channel, at home or abroad. Firstly, let's talk about the dirty, rotten Gringo tax. This is probably the most hidden cost that a foreigner will have when he or she moves abroad. The Gringo tax, the expat inflation, or foreigner gouging, no matter what you want to call it, no matter where you go abroad, you're going to have to deal with this silly foreigner phenomenon. Now you can just pay it like a good little dutiful bank machine, or you can simply walk away like we did and stick to principle. Foreigner gouging was terrible in Cuenca, Ecuador, a place that was at the top of the promoted lists at the time. It was everywhere, and it got so bad that the mercado became more expensive than the nicest grocery store in town.
Well, here's the jumbo ones. They're $11.50, which is less than $6 a pound. It's actually $5 a pound.
So yeah, why would you go to a outdoor mercado that some people say smells like vomit when you can just come over here and get it for less?
This is what happens when we foreigners move somewhere in groups and just pay up without batting an eyelash. The taxis were gouging foreigners big time too. The way to handle that is to ask the price first before you get into the taxi. Otherwise, you may be a sitting duck. The real estate agents would inflate the prices 2 and 3 times more than the local rents because the homeowners tell them to. The foreigners don't know any different than what they're quoted. They're quoted $850 for a $250 home and apartment and think that's cheap. I'll take it. We basically had to explain the difference between being a tourist and a foreign resident. If you move somewhere and you live there permanently, then why are you paying tourist prices for everything? Would a foreign resident pay the tourist rate on a rental apartment? Absolutely not. So then why pay the tourist rate for anything else? So we would just simply walk away if the price was what we knew to be Gringo gouging. And we told people that were moving to Cuenca to do the same. You see, when everyone just pays these erroneous prices in these countries, whether it's Spain, Mexico, Ecuador, or Thailand, or Italy, that's what increases the prices. We went on to explain that it was a discrimination gouge. Just because of the color of our skin, we were getting gouged 2 and 3 times more for everything. Well, the Gringo press got wind of our blogs and vlogs and they barked back. They called us whiners and cheapskates for not wanting to pay this erroneous Gringo tax, as they called it. Yep, that's what they called it. A Gringo tax. Do you want to know why they called it a Gringo tax? People are told there are 2 for sure things in life, and that's death and taxes. And so calling it a tax intimidated people to pay these inflated Gringo prices. It was like, shut up and pay up, or you're a whiner and a cheapskate too. The hidden expat inflation is not exclusive to Ecuador either. Let us remind you that the dirty, rotten Gringo tax is a voluntary tax and you don't have to pay it. So don't get suckered if you're a foreign resident living permanently in another country. This discussion sometimes sounds as if there's going to be a big, huge sign staring you in the face that says, Gringo tax 100%. Now, no, there is no such sign, and some people, dare I even say most, just go about their daily business when they go abroad, not having a clue of what is going on. You see, it's a hidden tax. Of course it's a hidden overcharge, and these people are like, what? Me? I don't see any Gringo tax. But sooner or later, even these people start realizing that, thanks to their, shall we call it, unawareness, the place is not really all that cheap. Surprise, surprise, Sergeant Carter. All the countries of the world gouge the foreigner. Even the governments do it with their visa regulations. They just keep gouging the foreigner more and more. There's other hidden expat costs when you go abroad, no matter how you slice it. Even when we take the time to make a budget of all our expenses in another country, extra hidden expenses will crop up and make our cost of living more than what we had planned. And really, the gringo gouging or foreigner pricing is what will get you the most. At the end of the month, you'll go, what? I made out my cost of living budget and I spent this much more than my budget? So when you move abroad and you just accept the gringo tax, make sure you add on that extra foreigner gouging. And the best way to do it is this. Eventually, the foreigner will price you at USA prices. Yep, you heard that right. And when you pay that, they will charge you more than USA prices. Yes, expat inflation is real. Now, the other hidden costs that you should be aware of and be prepared for, especially if you want to do things right and do not want to become broke and busted, well, almost busted while you're living abroad, you want to watch out for those ATM fees, which can be anywhere between $2.50 and $5 every time you get $300 to $500 out of your local U.S. bank. Then there's the currency conversion. The dollar does not buy as much today. Depending on which country you're moving to, you'll want to find out what the currency rate is against the dollar. If you're renting, you'll have security deposits of first and last month sometimes. This can be cash draining. And if you're renting an apartment, you will most likely have maintenance fees. These fees are also subject to foreigner gouging, and you will note that they will go higher and higher and higher. In Panama City, Panama, for example, a place that is still to this day touted for cheap living, the building fees on some condos is $500 a month and more. Yeah, that's just for the building maintenance fees. That does not include taxes, the mortgage costs, costs of the real estate, utilities, and actual apartment repairs. You know, you have to think about those utilities also. Costs for electricity, water, and gas and internet can be higher than expected, especially if you live in a foreigner enclave and you're depending on the water guy or the gas guy to show up once a week. The foreigner usually pays the foreigner rates. We once had a lady ask us if she was being gouged. She volunteered that she was paying $20 for a $3 bottle of gas every month. Do the math. What is the percent gouging on that? 15 years later, after everything has doubled abroad, we are paying less than that in the USA for the same bottle of gas. See the point? Other hidden costs might be those transportation costs, and here's why. Taxis will incur weekly transportation costs that perhaps you weren't expecting depending on what country you're in. Regardless, the costs can add up quickly. In Ecuador, a taxi fare was usually around $2.50 to $3.50, and we spoke pretty good Spanish for those fares. Some foreigners were paying 2 and 3 times those fares because they just accepted the asking price. They couldn't speak Spanish to negotiate even if they wanted to anyway. So the smartest thing you can do is find out what the local rates are for everything that you're going to use. In Ecuador, they use meters now in the taxis, but some drivers may not use the meters, so be ready for that. In Mexico, the taxi fare was around $3 to $5 in town, and in Italy, taxi fares in a small village, I'm not talking about the city of Rome or Milan, anything like that, or in a small village, it was 10 to 15 euros for a short ride in Italy. So reality is, if you don't speak the language and there's no meter in the taxi, you'll probably get price gouged for the fare. We're just giving you a heads up on that one too. And what about expat taxes? No, I'm not talking about the gringo gouge tax. I'm talking about the other ones. You can't escape paying your taxes when you flee abroad. They follow you wherever you go. In some countries, you'll end up paying taxes to that government as well as your own government. There are double tax implications in some of these countries when you become a resident for longer than 183 calendar days in a year. You'll need to look into this. Every country is different, but the best advice we can give you on this one is to talk with a tax professional familiar about the tax laws that would apply to your personal financial situation in the country of your choosing. Here's what someone just said about expat taxes in France. French tax resident applies if living in France more than 183 days out of the year. Higher taxes than in the USA, plus would need to file French and USA tax returns. Many taxes. All residents, including those with a resident permit, are taxed on their worldwide income and must comply with French tax filing requirement. Italy is similar. And what about those expat emergencies that crop up? This is why we think everyone who moves abroad should have an emergency fund. The emergency stash is a must-have. You never want to move abroad indefinitely without having at least $5,000 to $10,000 in your savings. More is better because you never know. The fund is for those just-in-case emergencies that can and do happen. Just ask some of the expats that had emergencies while living abroad. It can be a nightmare for some people. There's medical emergencies, visa problems, job loss, natural disasters, theft or loss of important documents, emergency travel and or family emergencies back home. All of these emergency scenarios would require cash on hand in a moment's notice. And so we think just knowing you have the cash in your savings will give you the peace of mind and financial security you need. And really, even if you're not moving abroad, we should all have an emergency fund for those what-if scenarios. Now, what happens if you move back to the U.S.? Some people have told us on this channel that they can't move back to the U.S. because rents are too expensive. This is why we highly recommend if you own your own home in the U.S., do not sell it, especially for those who rely on a small Social Security income and have no savings to speak of. There is a high probability that you will come back home, and what are you going to do? Rents in the USA will put you in the poorhouse, and we don't want that, so this is just something else to consider if you move abroad. I mean, what's going to put you in the poorhouse quicker? The dirty, rotten Gringo tax or high rents in the USA? That's a hard one to answer. And I'm not kidding. It is a difficult one to answer. It just depends on a few variables. Many people don't realize that having a landlord is not historically the natural state of affairs. It is not conducive to personal liberty. So you're not supposed to be renting in the first place, but that's another discussion altogether. Just to say, maybe this thing needs to be looked at from a different angle. But anyway, the rotten to the core, really bad gringo gouging, it's pretty bad when you go abroad. So you better have your rhino skin on and your negotiating skills on high alert. Thanks for watching our videos and have a great day. Bye-bye.